address that it's still just a matter of time before they can't go there on their year. It's a chicken and egg thing, but as a core infrastructure provider, we have to be out there leading the way, getting the infrastructure ready. Yes.
I don't know if anyone else here is from our content company at Microsoft. We have a lot of content. We love to get out of V6, and I think the point you were making earlier, the global and local load balance appliances, no site at scale can exist with just a single web service. You have to employ that technology. That technology is not mature. The ASICs that are out there don't support it. The push to the people who make those appliances to use it, they're not doing it. They don't see it outside. And we have a similar chicken and egg from a, do I devote dev resources to cover 0.1% of the user base, or do I cover to 99.9? So it's a, until it's easy to go there, content may not go there.
Have you been pushing them? Because you have as much weight as anyone, I would think.
We have a lot of weight. We're pushing for stability. It's a key thing we're pushing for. And we're pushing for V4 first, because it's not there in V4. These 6 million features they're not delivering them. You've asked? Yes.
One of the things, sorry, go ahead. I was just saying, one of the things that will help a little bit with this is that the federal government is actually pushing certification now for a lot of these hardware and software vendors who want to do business with the government to do it. Now the question is are some of these companies interested in doing business with the government or not? Those that are touching the government are going to have to go through their labs and get V6 certified. Those that aren't, there's no pressure.
The challenge is, it's a checkbox. It's a do you support V6? Not can you put 1,200 servers behind it and handle this many transactions per second. They've got their checkboxes done.
Well, so that's a good discussion though to have, maybe offline, because we're actually helping the government figure out what the checkboxes are. Right, so it's not, and that's why I made the subtle distinction of capable versus enabled, right? So being able to say you can do V6, but being actually be able to do it in real world are kind of two different discussions.
And certified doesn't necessarily mean skilled.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
That's exactly the right.
Right. So I think so. You're from Microsoft, you said. So I have interaction. So in the very beginning of this conversation, I think we all talked about some of the things that we as part of our jobs in V6 land. I have interactions with people in that space, right? So I feel that it's probably not inaccurate to say that in not just the future, you'll start to see some of those vendors, that are key to this space, starting to show some more support for IPv6.
I mean, the core router manufacturers had it for a while. It's gotten stable. It's excellent. It's when you go to the application, whether it be like SSL offload, whether it be, there's a lot of difficult pieces because most of it happen to be a NAT, and V6 and NATs are oil and water by design. So you have to rethink how you build your mousetrap. That's the feedback we're getting.
Well, you gotta,
really difficult.
You got to play with it. We were running all sorts of mobile IPv6 tests, both on Linux and Cisco. And Cisco's like iOS 12, whatever supports it. And what we found is there was some major bugs in the home agent. Not by Cisco's fault, but no one probably in the world's doing this, but some guys in Centennial, Colorado. So we all need to start doing it and play with it and giving these guys some feedback too, because these vendors test it out and it works. And I mean, the best test bed is users. And once we start playing with this stuff, when you call Cisco support, you go right to the developer when you're talking about mobile IPv6, and that guy really wants to fix your problem. So it's a small enough community right now where they're begging for that feedback too, and we just more and more of us need to start doing it.
So let's answer the question in the opposite direction. I mean, you hit the key point that Microsoft has in this area, but is there still a commitment to work through these problems so that at some point in the future, not to be defined today, that you will want to offer every one of your, well, not everyone, as many as are practical in a V6 and a V4 environment?
Of course.
Right. So that's really a key message that we talk about. And it's good to hear it from a content side of the world, because at some point in time, this will be, by default, V6 and V4 enabled everywhere. Maybe in the mobile world only V6, but the good part about this is that there is light at the end of the tunnel. This isn't something that is not on people's radar.
But the whole pipeline has to all be there. Application, core backbone, appliances, everything has to be there for it all to work. And the person who's left one at the end that has a hard to do, they're not as motivated. It's such a small number. So it's what will exhaustion of IPv4 be the impetus that makes that happen?
It's not always easy. I mean, in '98 we were pushing Cisco and Juniper hard.
But they're not the problem. They're done. They're checked off.
That's what I'm saying, but they weren't '98, and that's what I'm saying. We worked very hard with those guys, and they're like, look, no one's pushing us for this. Why should we look? But we did it. We were pushing them hard, and you're right, they're done. And in 5 years, we're going to say that about the global server load balancing vendors and stuff like that. But someone's got to push on it, and if that's something you want, use your cloud.
Well,
I mean, we're not that big in the U.S., but we're pretty big in Asia, and we threw that around in pushing these guys back in the late '90s, and that's why they're where they're at. Well, that's not one of the reasons. Yeah.
That's what I mentioned, that we have to do some of this as a collective community, especially like in the web peering space, because I know some of the conversations I have with some of our vendors, you start getting well, you're the first one to ask for it, or you're the only one asking for it. And I find that hard to believe. I don't necessarily think it's true. It might be a card they're playing to buy some time. But if it is the case, then it does mean that we need everyone to start asking their vendors to say, where is this out on your roadmap? And chances are it's probably on their roadmap somewhere, but the question is it on their 2011 roadmap, 2012 roadmap, or is it on their 2009 roadmap with beta code coming available for Q this year? There's a big difference in when they're going to deliver the capability. I think most of them know it's coming. I think a lot of them want to put it off because of development effort, and they have other things they'd rather prioritize. And so if we do collectively start asking for it, then they'll stand up and take it more seriously and put some effort into giving us those products and services.
And one of the things we talked about this morning, again, keep referencing this conversation that none of you were there for.
It was good. Should have been.
Yeah, I should have recorded it and just played it back here. I mean, it takes an enormous investment in time. I mean, I cannot tell you how much time I've spent with so many of my vendors to make sure that the V6 stuff, gets the proper priority, gets the right attention, and actually works the way that we need for it to work. Just asking for it's not enough, right? I found that I've had to invest enormous amounts of time to make sure that it's right? Because the position that we're in, or at least especially myself, is, it's harder for me to ask two vendors that kind of compete with one another to kind of collaborate and fix it for me. And that's a little complicated, but for me to do it, because I am the customer of each, it's a lot more straightforward. But like I said, it takes a lot of time. So that's the key.
So I think we've run out of time. I think the messages that we kind of came up with is that really, if you haven't started planning for a dual stack environment, or you're not already starting down that road, you should immediately, because it is an environment that you're going to have to deal with. The backbones are done. The challenges are the access points and the end users and getting to the next level. I think the messaging is that it's been years of working with the backbone providers to get it to that state. It's going to be years working with the access providers and the end user environment, but the commitment's there, and we're going to have to get there. And really the value proposition is that there's going to be winners and losers in this, and the losers will be those that can't deal with the dual stack environment when other companies are going there. And customers eventually will vacate providers who don't have that capability, because there will be services and things that they won't be able to handle. And if they wake up one morning and then they're at that point, they're probably in a lot of trouble, because they won't be able to get there very quickly. It's a long process. It's not a revolution. It's an evolution. So, thanks.